Lewis, and I'm super excited to introduce you to today's featured guest is Carla D. Bass, Colonel in the United States Air Force, retired. She is all about how powerful writing changes lives. Change your life, propel your business, galvanize your audience, nail a dream job with a stellar resume, score a promotion with spot on input to a performance review, win a grant, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Word sculpting tools is what she offers, and she's going to get into it today. Right to Influence by Carla Bass is now in its second edition and winner of eight, count them, national level awards. Carla has two battle cries. Powerful writing changes lives, and powerful writing is the lifeblood of successful organizations. After the intro, I get to introduce you to the wonderful Carla D. Bass. Welcome, Carla. How are you?
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited that you are here. Now, look, I am jumping on the bandwagon of your battle cry that powerful writing is the lifeblood of successful organization and powerful writing changes lives. I want to help our viewers and listeners today change their lives with their writing. How did you even get into this line of work, being a colonel in the military?
Well, the aha moment for me, which was a pivotal moment in my life, occurred when I was a lieutenant colonel in Hawaii. I was a squadron commander of 480 super talented troops. When I arrived at that assignment, the 324th Intel Squadron was the most losing unit in statewide professional annual and quarterly professional awards. What that meant was deserving people, fabulous young troops, were not getting the recognition that they earned because their bosses could not write winning nomination packages. So you could be the best captain, the most fabulous tech sergeant doing amazing things, but because your boss couldn't tell your story, you didn't get the accolades. So that was hurting career progressions, it was harming families, and I had to fix it for them. So I took 3 days, I developed my writing methodology, I taught them how to write, and we began sweeping the awards. And what shocked me was the vacuous need at that point, because the other units in Hawaii came and asked if I could teach them also, which of course I did. But then for the next 15 years, wherever my assignments took me, I was also requested to teach Right to Influence, word sculpting, I called it in those days. And I still receive correspondence from people that said, Colonel Bass, if it weren't for, I wouldn't have been able to. I received one email about 2 years ago. It was, Colonel Bass, you probably don't remember me, but I was a senior airman in your unit. I kept that little handbook you wrote for 18 years. Because of that, I was accepted into officer training school, which is a very difficult thing to do. I just retired as an Air Force officer after 20 years, and I'm the vice president of a defense corporation because you taught me how to write. So that was the pivotal moment where I realized that powerful writing changes lives, because it does. And that's why I'm out here trying to share this insight and teach other people how to do so.
That is exciting. I am a Navy mom, so I understand the importance of leadership being able to write a great promote package, because everything hinges on what's written in that package. They don't even get to see the sailor. They see the words on the paper. So with that, the powerful writing changes lives. I want to talk today about resume writing. In this pandemic environment, there are a number of people that are looking for jobs that may not have initially thought that they would be looking for a job at this time, and it's a highly competitive environment. So would you talk to us about writing resumes and your experience and your recommendations to us?
Gladly. And it was because of the COVID environment. I composed 3 free ebooks on my website. The first one is called Write to Win a Standout Resume. The second is Write to Win Performance Reviews. And the third is Write to Win a Grant Submission, because everybody is struggling so hard to be able to gain some traction in this new environment. But specifically on the resumes, the cardinal rule in writing anything is to know your audience and to write to the audience. So when you're composing a resume, it should not be about you. Don't write it, I'm great, hire me because. Focus instead on the employer's needs. Read the job application carefully and identify what their weaknesses are. Where is it that they're soliciting help? And the tone of your resume should be, this is how I can help you. So focus on the employer. The first thing, or the primary thing or area where resumes are really weak is in verbs. So what I want to do really quickly here is I want to read you 3 categories of verbs. I've extracted these from actual resumes. The first one, the point I'm going to make, is inconsistency in verbs. So listen to this. Provided, extensive knowledge of, assist technical staff, provide, excellent writing skills, extensive event planning, coordinates. So that does a couple of things. First, it mixes nouns and verbs. Second, it mixes present and past verbs. And third, it's very snaggy. I mean, it's halting. It lacks rhythm, and so you're going to lose the reader's attention. The second category are boring and harmful verbs, and this is also a ubiquitous problem in resumes. Provided, responsible for, supported, assistant, supports, contributed to. All that does is it prompts the reader, the potential employer, to ask, what did you really do? So anytime your resume elicits questions, you again have lost the reader's attention. So the teaching point to all of this is you want to use verbs that are hard-hitting, that are compact, and that are action-oriented. Example, and these are from another resume: implemented, developed, validated, formulated, briefed, organized, partnered with. Hard-hitting, concrete verbs, and then of course you back that up with the solid, hard-hitting facts. Now, another huge failure in resumes, and this is where you can gain some ground, is people often forget to state what the impact was of their accomplishment. So I liken that to a half-completed tennis swing. So here's an example. Developed and implemented a new marketing strategy. Well, that sounds good because you've got developed and implemented. You got 2 hard-hitting verbs, but there's no so what. What happened as a result of? The rest of that story is the individual catapulted sales by 30% this month alone. So now to improve on that even better, instead of beginning with developed and implemented, start that bullet with catapulted sales 30% this month alone by developing and implementing a new sales marketing strategy. So a lot of it hinges on verbs. Another mistake that people make is they will accidentally bury the golden nugget. And this is another real bullet from a resume. So I'm going to read this one because it's too long. Ability to synthesize data and prepare, design, budgetary analysis, manpower data, procurement cost, and presented the proposal for a supply depot with a cost estimate of $750,000 to senior level executives. You've lost. I mean, that's like wading through knee-deep mud. So when you start off with demonstrated the ability to synthesize, I tuned out right there. So you rewrite it. And what the golden nugget in that particular paragraph is the fact that he presented a proposal to the senior level executives. So that's the golden nugget. You lead with the golden nugget. And we revised that to prepared and presented to senior level executives. Those are bell ringer words. A proposal for a supply depot estimated at $750,000. That's the gold nugget. Then you back it up with expertly synthesized and analyzed data on blah, 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 blah. And then what happened as a result? Then you add the board accepted the proposal. So it's a matter of finding the gold nugget, leading with it, and then making sure that you finish the tennis swing. What happened as a result of briefing that senior level board?
So going and building on that. So that goes back to what you said is what you can do for the company, not about yourself, but by being able to demonstrate with those hard-hitting verbs, showing the impact of what you did and not burying the golden nugget. That is a clear demonstration of what you could potentially do for the company or the agency that you're submitting the resume to, right?
Exactly. And a well-written resume also demonstrates your ability to communicate with focus and precision. That is a rare skill nowadays because universities, colleges and universities aren't teaching it any longer. So even kids that went through high school AP and you come out of graduate school, they're taught to learn how to write fat. They're not taught to learn how to write skinny. If you look, even in today's employment environment, there are so many job openings for outreach, for marketing, for strategic communicators. But the employers are going to request a sample of your writing. If you can write the way I teach, then you are solid, even in a constrained job environment. If you can't, then you're handicapping yourself. And this is such an easy thing to learn. It's so easy. That's why I'm such a strong proponent of this.
So then what is the recommendation then to be certain that it's compact? How long should a resume be? And I need two scenarios. So one, like a millennial with very little job experience, and then speaking to someone who may have 20 years of military experience or 20 years of federal experience. How long do you recommend a concise, powerful resume be?
1 to 2 pages max. Now, for the millennial who doesn't have a lot of job experience, because of that, they can actually dip back into what community activities were they involved in? Did they have any leadership positions? What volunteering did they do? What did they do outside of a professional life? You can bring that kind of stuff in there. For the professional who's been at it for a while, for example, when I retired from the Air Force, I was looking for a strategic communications job. So what I did is I called from my 30 years worth of all sorts of various jobs that took me around the world, and I highlighted those that focused specifically on writing. So the jobs where I was doing a lot of writing on products that went to Congress and the White House, or intelligence analysis, or budget justifications. Those were the things that I surfaced to the top, like the cream in the bottle of milk, and I skimmed off everything else, and those were the ones that I forwarded to the employer, because those are what the employer was interested in, not the other aspects of my Air Force career that had nothing to do with writing.
And so, and with that, that still brought the resume down to a couple of pages, 2 to 3 pages.
Yep. Now let's pretend that you've gone through and two things. These are really important. One is job journal. So you need to keep a job journal and record accomplishments as they occur, because when it comes time to writing a resume, if you haven't captured that wonderful information, and you have to think, and this also applies to inputs to performance reviews, it's so hard to go back and think, what did I do last year or 10 months ago or whenever? So capture it as it happens, and as it occurs, make sure you jot down the impact, what happened as a result of. So you drop, and the way you determine that is you drop a pebble in the pond and you want to see what were the repercussions, what happened resulting from your achievement. You can look at it the other way. If I hadn't done X, Y wouldn't have occurred. So keep a job journal. Now, once you've gathered all that information, the next thing you need to do is to triage it, because you're space limited, 1 or 2 pages. So you determine which of these many achievements is going to make the cut line based on a couple of factors. And then here's some examples. Did the achievement have visibility external to your organization? Was it a first such occurrence? Did you set new benchmarks? Did you demonstrate outstanding teamwork or leadership capabilities or other qualities that you know that employer is seeking? Did you accomplish it early and under budget? Did you earn accolades from other clients, from superiors? So these are the criteria that would separate the, okay, you did something, from the ones that you really need to highlight and claim credit for. Another item that people often forget is, if you're a supervisor yourself and you've submitted your subordinates for awards, claim credit for that too, because that demonstrates leadership. It demonstrates that you take care of your people and you'll extend yourself on behalf of somebody else. Regardless of whether they won the award, the fact that you took the time off and submitted them for it is a great hallmark of outstanding leadership. I can't hear you again.
I apologize. That's on me. Carla, I thank you for that advice, because as a manager, I never considered taking credit for rewarding or submitting award packages for my team members. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Now, something else that I suggest to people, and this can be very hard. I know folks have a hard time writing input for their own performance reviews. So this next suggestion is going to be more difficult. But if you have a good relationship with a boss and you have tremendous credibility with that individual, then actually ask that person, sir, there is or ma'am, there is this big award call coming. Would it be okay if I nominated myself? And you have to have all of those precursors in there, but do it. I mean, when I was a second lieutenant, we accomplished some amazing first ever achievements in that particular assignment. I had a tech sergeant. Oh my golly, my dad said, listen to your enlisted troops because they are so smart, especially for second lieutenants. Anyway, the sergeant said, ma'am, put yourself in for a meritorious service medal. And my response was, lieutenants never get M.S.Ns. It just isn't done. He said, we have done so many unique things, put yourself in. Well, I listened and I did, and I was awarded the M.S.N, and it was presented to me by the director of the National Security Agency. So don't be afraid to shoot for the brass ring if you've got the justification to do it. And don't be afraid to ask the boss if it'd be okay if you submitted yourself for an award. He might or she might appreciate that, because they're very busy people too.
Oh,
and then that's more
gracious.
fodder for your resume.
I love it. So make your own show. Go to your supervisor, go to your boss, and let them know that you're interested in this award. You write it up. You have your job journal. You have the impacts that you've made, and you're able to write powerfully in order to submit your recommendation for yourself. That is amazing. I don't know about you, viewers and listeners. Had you ever considered putting your own self in and getting the permission to do it and write it up as well? Fantastic. Carla, what are some more tips? This is so good. Oh, wait a minute. Before I continue, please visit her website, writetoinfluence.net, and get the 3 books that she talked about. Is Right to Influence in the resume, Right to Influence for the grant, and Right to Influence. There was a third. Carla.
Yeah, performance reviews.
Performance reviews.
So resume,
please.
one for resume, one for performance reviews, and one for grants.
Excellent. Get those 3 books.
And what I've done in those 3 is I've distilled the strategies and the word sculpting tools specifically for those particular products. So, I'm doing my darndest to help people from where I am, and I think that you'll find that very beneficial.
And I appreciate
let me describe
that.
Let me describe these word sculpting tools. What I mean by word sculpting is, so poof, you are now a sculptor. You're a master sculptor. You're sitting in Paris, and you've got the beret, and you've got the hammer and chisel, and you're facing an 8-foot chunk of marble. Because you're a master sculptor, you know the image that lies dormant within that marble. So chisel, 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 the rubble's on the floor, there's your statue. Word sculpting is the same thing. The difference is, instead of having the marble, you have your first draft. So you apply my 10 word sculpting tools. This is what I invented in in Hawaii. Sentence by sentence, you sculpt out the useless words, the redundancies, the bureaucratic blather. And when you've completed that, you have a hard-hitting product. The objective is to make every word count and every second of the reader's time play to your advantage. So here's an example. One of the word sculpting tools, and I love describing this one, is verbs. So I want you to imagine a hard-boiled egg. You got it? Serious, hard-boiled egg. Now make that hard-boiled egg 6 foot tall. Big hard-boiled egg. Now focus on the yolk. The yolk is the verb. The white stuff is what business writing nowadays suffocates the verb in. So, for example, resulted in the prevention of is prevented. Take a hard look at is examine. For the purpose of is to. Have a discussion is discuss. Provide answers is answer. Make certain is ensure. So the trick with the verbs is, as you're going through sentence by sentence, see if you've got some of this bureaucratic, blathery was stuff, sculpt it out and cut straight to the chase on the verb. That gives you a crisper product, and it lets you leverage the space much better. Another one of my word sculpting tools is don't use words that hog space. I love these things. So hogging space occurs in 3 ways. I'll just demonstrate one of them. The first is the passive voice. Don't write passive voice if at all possible. The second is using long words where short words are better, especially if you're into constrained space, like describe what you want in 250 words or 150 characters, okay? In that instance, every space matters. But here's another one. It's write with precise terms. So at the present time is now. In a rapid manner is rapidly. On a monthly basis is monthly. Now that one, everywhere, ubiquitously, you hear on a blank basis. Broadcasters, everyone says on a monthly basis. You never have to say on a blank basis. Just say monthly. Everything else is the white around the yolk, okay? Just monthly. So don't use words that hog space. Another thing for resumes, knowing your audience, okay? If you're speaking to a technical audience, then you can speak in the job-related technical gibberish. But if there is a chance that your resume is going to be read by a more generic audience, don't use the technical lingo. Now, here is the example that actually prompted my creation of this particular word sculpting tool. When I was in the 324th, a resume came across, as a performance appraisal, came across my desk. I'm supposed to sign it. It said, +3, earned a +3 -3 on the DLPT test. Well, I had no clue what a DLPT was, much less +3 -3. So the leadership technique of knowing your people, I knew this was a brilliant young lady, so I called her in. I asked her, what does this mean? The answer was she scored 95% on the Defense Language Proficiency Test in Chinese. So she had beat out 95% of her peers, which is a huge accomplishment. But if that bullet had gone forward as being written, only people who spoke the linguist language would understand what that meant. And the impact of that amazing accomplishment would have been lost on the administrators, the logisticians, the communications, all the people that actually sit on promotion boards. So again, you have to know your audience and write in the correct language so that your message is understood.
So Carla, do you work with individuals or do you only work with organizations?
It's a mixture.
Okay.
I work with organizations, and that's government, corporate, private businesses, but I also work with individuals. So on my website, there are options for hiring me for a webinar or individual consulting sessions. So the answer is both.
Okay. Excellent. We have covered so much ground in such a short period of time. And I want to thank you. I want individuals to reach out to you. As I mentioned before, get the books, visit her website and get it. It's a wonderful website and it's chock full of great information that I think will be beneficial, especially if you're looking for employment during this time, if you're a manager doing performance reviews, and even if you're in the business of applying for grants. Carla is able to help in all three of those areas. So please get the materials that she is offering and have her come to your organization. I mean, good gracious, writing to influence and powerful writing is the lifeblood of successful organizations because it's another way that we communicate. Thank you so much, Carla. Before we end this, I want you to leave us with not burying the golden nugget. Would you like to leave us with one more golden rule that you share?
Oh, golden rule. What the principle. I'll leave you with the principle and then a mention of my newsletter. Every author, whether you're fact or fiction, whether you're writing a blog or any of the other products we've discussed, every author is constrained by two things. You're constrained by the reader's time, tick, tick, I'm busy, make your point and go away. And you're constrained by the allocated space. So the author who best leverages that time and space is going to be the most successful. Now, one other offer, I produce a twice monthly e-newsletter. These are, no surprise, short, concise, and to the point with additional writing tips. And I value my readers' time tremendously. So these things are always very, very useful. If you would like to receive that, just email me at carla@write2influence.net, and I promise you won't be disappointed.
Oh, thank you so much, Carla. I so appreciate you. And thank you for joining us on today. Man, this is amazing. So this concludes another episode of The Blueprint. Thank you so much. I told you Carla was going to be a great guest and share some wonderful information with us. Make sure you visit her website and sign up to receive her newsletter twice a week, clear and concise and short, because she values our time. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Blueprint.